Hello everybody. I'm trying to set up this camera here to be able to go live while I'm starting the Global BA stand-up. So let's see how we're gonna work this out. I haven't gone live in such a long time. I don't remember how to do it. I didn't even know that you could do vertical lives. Oh my goodness. I'm going to have to end the meeting I'm already in and then start a new meeting. You'll have to leave this meeting to start the new meeting. Sorry, I'm getting an error on my Zoom. So this should be Zoom and live at the same time. That's what I'm trying to do. Why does it say I need to leave the meeting? It's weird. Okay, let's start the meeting again. It says I have a meeting that's already in progress. Where do I have that meeting that's in progress? Okay, I want to join the meeting. It won't let me start the meeting. Okay, here we go. Looks like I can start it. Sorry. I have to do a bunch of stuff. Bear with me, everybody. I'm trying to get these two technologies to work in sync, which is not often a very easy feat. Okay. Wow, I got a bunch of people joining. Awesome. Awesome. So if you haven't registered, we're having the meeting on Zoom for those of you who are here. And if you haven't registered, just go to karaleise.com, click on the events calendar, and then join, register for the meeting, and then you can join the Zoom meeting where you can be more interactive. But for those of you who are watching it on YouTube Live, you can also watch it there. But if you want to jump in and like talk, then you'd have to join the meeting, which is free, happening right now. So welcome everybody. Welcome to our Global BA Stand-Up. I'm so happy to see all of y'all. Welcome. I'm just admitting everybody. I have my assistant Joshua here. He's gonna be helping to to coordinate this meeting. Let me make him co-host right away so he can help admit some of y'all. Thank you everyone who subscribed and who have been coming to these for the last 4 months. I think it's 4 months now that we've been having it. Or is it 5? Maybe we started in December. I'm not sure. I don't remember. Joshua will keep me honest. Joshua, I've made you a co-host. So welcome everyone to our monthly Global BA stand-up. As you can see, I'm not at home. I am in the beautiful Smoky Mountains. I'm in a cabin in the woods. I'm having a vacation, but I'm still working a little bit for you guys. I wanted to keep the consistency of having these meetings every month. So I didn't want to break that even though I'm on vacation. And it's only an hour, so it's fine. Let me admit some more people who are in the waiting room. So yeah, welcome everybody. It's a lot of y'all. Where are y'all from? Put it in the chat. Let me see where you guys are from. See, London, welcome. I have a lot of good support from London. I have a lot of people from London. Michigan, Texas, awesome. Florida, nice, great. Let's see who else is here. Australia is here. Los Angeles is here. Awesome. West Coast represent. Amazing. That's good. People are still joining, so I'm just going to give them a few more minutes. I mean, it's already 10:05. Chicago is here. Essex, UK, awesome. Thank you, Cliff. Thank you, everyone. Alberta, Canada. I'm about to go to Toronto, so it's not too near to Alberta, but at least I'll be on Canadian soil. Atlanta, Georgia, Sharon. We should hook up. I'm in Atlanta too most of the time. Toronto. Awesome. Great, great. Thank you, guys. Thank you, everybody. I think we have a good representation across the world. That's really awesome. I know you guys are in different time zones, so thank you for making the time here. Maryland, awesome, awesome. All right, so a lot of you are new, and you may have not joined the previous BA stand-ups. Aberdeen, nice. So what we do in the Global BA Stand-Up is it's a chance for us to meet and to talk about our career. And it's not really like a lecture. I'm not here to tell you and to like teach you necessarily, but I want to give you a space to just ask questions, to find out more about the role. And we're doing it like we normally do. If you've worked in agile, we normally have a stand-up as a part of the sprint where we go through and we ask, so what's going well, what's not going well, what action items, what's blocking you. So it's a chance for, in the real world of work, it's a chance for the developers and the project team to come together every day for like 15 minutes and just talk about what are the things that are blocking them so that they don't live with that blockage for the rest of the week or rest of the day, right? We want to give people a chance to air out any concerns they have that's stopping them from working and stuff like that. So the Global BA Stand-Up is a spin-off from that. When we first tried it, we tried for half an hour. That didn't work because people had much more to talk about. So we've extended it to 1 hour, and we do it every month, the first Monday of every month for 1 hour from 10 a.m. Eastern Time to 11 a.m. Eastern Time. So you can set that on your calendar. It's going to happen all the time. Even if I'm on vacation, I'll try to make sure it happens. And I've also put out in the email I sent out that if anybody wants to join and to help to facilitate this meeting, then I'll be willing to work with you, and we could do it as a practice, so we can help you as well grow in knowing how to run stand-ups. The purpose of it is for us to talk. So you guys have been watching my videos, you've been sending me emails, some of you have done my consults. I'm very grateful for all of that. But I also want to open it up to a wider audience to say, okay, what's going on in the BA world? How are you guys faring? What are the things that you're struggling with? How can I help you to navigate this space so that you can become successful? You can have a career that's going to be beneficial to you, that you have influence in, that will help you to navigate change, to grow yourself as a business analyst, right? So that's the purpose of it. So it's very open, it's very interactive, and it's just a conversation, right? It's not a lecture, it's not a training session. It's just really open for you guys to ask whatever questions that you have and for you to help each other. There are people in here who are just starting out in the field. There are people in here who are just leaving college or about to leave college and like, what do I do with myself, right? I have this degree, now what? There are people in here who have been working in the field for a long time, have lots of knowledge that they can share with others. And there are people who are looking to switch, right? So for all of these different places that you are in your career, how can we kind of help each other? How can we create this community that will be focusing on business analysis? It's very important. It's very important because I have in one of my videos that I haven't released yet, where I was talking about we're almost all software companies now. Almost everybody's a software company. If you work in banking, what you're doing is you're building software on top of software, going to core banking systems, going to all these different systems to help the bank to function. But it's really software. You're hardly even talking about the product necessarily. It's just mainframes storing data and people just working on different software, both from the back end and from the front office, right? So we're all just building software at a very rapid pace. Electricity company, utility companies, software companies. They're building software to help them manage all of their processes. Like everything, every industry you're going into, it's all software. And if you're building so much software at this rate, you need BAs. You need BAs. So this career is not going anywhere. The problem is right now, because of how agile is and companies who are going agile, they probably hire for POs, product owners, and they hire for developers, and they hire for maybe Scrum Masters and project managers. And then they get into these development projects and they realize, but we're missing something. We're not efficient. We're not working at the right pace. We're not building we don't have the right requirements. And then somebody taps them on the shoulder and says, well, you need a BA. And they're like, oh, that's what we've been missing, right? And then they go out and they hire for BAs. So this career is going to grow because the more we build software, the more we need BAs. And if you're even working on processes, the more you improve your processes, the more you want to be more streamlined, you need the BA. So we definitely have a space to fit in this economy and the way that the world is going. And it makes sense for us to sharpen our skills with each other, right? So iron sharpens iron. So it makes sense for us to sharpen our skills, makes sense for us to know the tools and the techniques so that we can get out there and we can do this job and we can command the salary we deserve, right? So that we can, one, benefit ourselves and also benefit the world. All right. So enough of all of my rantings. I'm going to turn it over to you guys. So first, I want to talk about, well, before I go to that, there's some questions in here. Pearl says, is there an online platform for this group, or is it just a Zoom meeting? So we don't have a community launched yet. I do have that in the works, but there's, again, when you're building software for something specific, there's all kinds of things you have to solve before you can make it live. But for now, it's just this meeting, but you can always find me on karaleise.com. Whatever notifications that you need will be published there. And also you can follow me on my Facebook and my other social media. But there is a community coming out where we will be able to, you'll be able to join a specific community. You'll be able to have a chat platform to talk just among us. It's not going to be public to everybody. And there'll be options to look at documentation, for example. So let's say you're working on a presentation and you need a presentation deck. There'll be documents for that you can go in the community, get these documents, see what other BAs are doing in their projects and learn from each other. See what user stories somebody wrote for this particular feature or this epic, so you don't have to do the same thing. So all of that can come together in the community I'm building, but it's not quite there yet. So I have to wait for it to be ready before I make it live. So the Facebook group is called Business Analyst and IT. And Joshua, if you're here, could you just take the link for our Facebook group and paste it so somebody can get it? I think Ayana, if I'm pronouncing it right. And share the link to the Facebook group and the Facebook page so that there's those two things. All right, so that's coming up. The community is coming. It's just, again, I like to do things at high quality, so I have to make sure it's there. By the way, my dog is here. We go on vacation with the dog. Say hi. Say hi to everybody. Hi, my name is Jackson. He needs a new haircut, but he's all right. Okay, so let's get started. I want to start off by talking about the people who are in the job hunt. I always like to start with that because it's the most stressful part, right? When you're trying to break into the field and you're putting out resumes out there, and sometimes you get a call from the recruiter, but it sometimes doesn't lead anywhere. And right now I want to caution you that the job market is shot. It's really terrible. This is not the job market of 2021 when it was hot and people were just getting jobs everywhere. The job market has become much more difficult, and there's much, because of all the layoffs that happened over 2022, 2023, there's so much more people on the market, and the employers, I feel like, are taking advantage of this. And one, they're dipping the salaries a little bit, which I don't think you should accept something really too low, because the point is you're going to be doing much more work than you even anticipated in this career, right? You're going to work hard. So you should negotiate a proper salary up front. And like I said in some of my videos, you really don't want to start anything below $85,000 if you're in the US. $85,000 is the bottom tier. You don't want to get anything below that, because the amount of work you're going to do is not going to be worth that lower compensation. That's US dollars if you're in the US. In other parts of the world, I'm not sure, but that's in the US dollars. So the market has gotten very, very tough. But I have been coaching people and they have been getting jobs. So jobs are to be gotten, but you really have to stand out much better in the job hunt world. So I want to say that before I would caution you to give up to 6 months to get a job. Unfortunately, it's taking people sometimes up to a year. And that's a long time to be out of a job. So I definitely empathize with you. And there's some shortcut things that you can do, or short-term things you can do in the meantime, like doing a contract in the meantime, doing something else. But it's taking a longer time. And I've been watching it like a hawk, like what is going on? So, if you're specialized, it's even a little bit better if you're like a specialized BA. But I don't encourage new BAs to specialize, because you don't. The interviews are harder. You have to get over the interview of being a BA, and then you have to get over the interview of being a specialized BA in a particular tool. So it's really harder. If you already are a specialist in those areas, fine. The job market is probably a little bit better for you. But if you're just coming in, it is rough. But I want to encourage you that people are getting jobs. The jobs are to be had. You just have to make sure that when you go in an interview, you're super prepped, you're ready to go. You can convince them that you are the best candidate for the job. And if you watch my videos, and if you even do a consult with me, then I give you tips as to how to do that, and it's been very successful. Let me see what y'all are saying in the comments. So I have comments going on in my live, and I have comments going on in the Zoom. So I don't even know which one to read first. Hold on, let me check. So this one says, Excited about the community. Thank you for leading this. Yes, I'm very excited. I can't wait for it to go out there because not only will you have a space where we can all talk to each other, right? So if you're a senior BA, you're the junior BA, you can ask a senior BA something. And sometimes you don't want to ask on your job because you don't want to give away that you don't really know what you're doing. A lot of people are just starting out. So you have this community that's like a safety net for you that you can ask questions. They can share like user stories with you, share some documentation with you. You can have that support so you can feel more confident as you go into your job and you can excel in the job, right? So it's going to be a paid community though. It's not a free community, but we'll see how we work through that, what that those tiers of payments will be. Nivedita says, I am a Salesforce BA. How do I transition into non-Salesforce BA? I am having a hard time getting interviews for non-Salesforce BA positions. Yeah, well, I was about to say that if you're in Salesforce, Salesforce is one of the number one CRMs in the world. So the demand for you as a BA should be higher. I'm surprised that you're having challenges getting a job as a Salesforce BA. The only challenge is that it depends on how many Salesforce BA jobs are advertised, which may not be a lot. But once they do advertise it, you should be good because Salesforce is a very specific thing. And being able to navigate Salesforce is very rewarding. So maybe we need to look at other things like your resume, like how you present in the interview. Because if you're a specialist BA and you have experience in this, your interview potential should be higher. All right, I'm going to read one of the comments here, or some of the comments here on the live on YouTube. So it says, Abibola says, registered, but the link asks for password, so couldn't join. We didn't get an email either. Glad to hear from you. So Abimbola, if you're not in, you probably can go back to the link because everybody here has been able to get it. So I'm not sure what happened. Maybe you can register again, or I'll try to see if you don't have your email here. I probably could try to get the link over to you. But if you go back to the website and you register again, when you confirm, the meeting invite is sent and you don't need a password. Let's see what else is going on here. Christina says, hi, Karaleise, I love your channel. Been watching for a few years. What should I do to get into the next step in my career? Depends on where your step is currently. Where are you right now? Are you just starting? Have you already had a job? It depends on that. I could advise you based on that. And Agba says, boss lady. Thank you. All right, what are you guys saying over here on Zoom? So why is the government salary in the US so low? People offering 60K for 5 years experience because they can get away with it. If they can get away with paying 60K, they will. It's for you to know your worth. If you're one of the things about government organizations is that, I don't know who here works in the government, is that a lot of people in the government tend to be very relaxed. They're like, this is a secure job. We're not going anywhere. The government is not going to fall tomorrow, or we're not going to sell out. We're not going to, close shop down. So we don't really need to work at this high level of intensity. So sometimes in government jobs, the work is split out very in minute chunks, right? So you're only doing this, and you're only doing this, and you're only doing this. So maybe they feel like the amount of work that you're doing is not as demanding, and so that's why they lower the salary. But I would say if that doesn't fit your lifestyle and doesn't fit your budget, you should find a job in the private sector where you get paid more, right? The government can do it, so they do it because they know they offer you security, and they're probably compensating for that. I've had some very high paying jobs, and they've always been in startups, pay a lot of money. But trust me, the startups go bust at some point, right? So because they have this influx of money coming in from investors, they didn't spend time making sure the product was ready for so the sales could go up. So what I found in the startups that I've worked, I got a lot of money, but after a couple of years, the startup just couldn't make it and they're done. Move on to the next startup, right? Okay, switching to BA, and today marks 4 months of trying to enter the field. I'm willing to take lower than 85 as an entry level, and I don't want to oversell. That's good. If you're willing to take lower than 85 to learn, that's okay, because if your aim is to get in and to learn. But I also think that if you have the will to learn how to do this career, and you're going to invest in yourself to learn to do the career, I don't see why you shouldn't get paid for that. Because everything that you're doing will be to improve the company, right? You're not learning this because you want to learn it necessarily. You're learning it so you can apply it. So you're solving a problem for the company that's making profit. Why shouldn't you get the pay? Why do you think you don't deserve 85 at minimum? That's part of my concerns, right? So I don't disagree with you if you want to just take a lower cut to get in, but I also think that you should do what you're worth. Okay, job hunt. So these questions, I'm not going to go through all of them. There is a idea board that we've put up, so you can put them on the idea board. I'm going to look at the idea board at the end because I'm going to go through different sections. By the way, somebody's not on mute. Whoever is not on mute, please go on mute. Thank you. And Joshua, if you see anybody who's not on mute, then just mute them for me. All right. Okay, so let's talk about the job hunt. So I was talking about the fact that it's a little bit harder and you kind of have to budget more time to get a job. But again, I have been coaching people. They've been doing my consults. They've been getting success. I know a lot of people who have gotten jobs, so you can too. So is there anybody here who's in the job hunt that want to share their story or that have any examples of interviews or anything that they want to share that the rest of the team or the rest of the group here could benefit from? Any interview stories or job hunt stories? Don't all shout at once.
Good morning, Karaleise.
Hi.
I have a small question. Actually, the job I'm working currently is going to end soon. My contract is ending. So I'm trying to get into another job before that this position ends. In that scenario, I'm trying to find the jobs for functional business analyst. But the bad thing is that the market is full of positions asking for a business systems analyst. But for the positions of business functional business analysts are seem to be very less. Could you explain why the reason is what would be the reason for this?
Where are you located?
Atlanta.
And you're finding mainly business systems analysts in Atlanta?
Not in Atlanta. I mean, even the remote roles.
Okay, so one of the things I need to caution you guys about when you're looking for jobs is that the employers are not very clear as to what the BA role is still. Sorry, my dog's going off. They're not very clear as to what the BA role is and what to even call it. So you'll find that the naming of the role are very varied across jobs. You'll see them call you product analyst, they'll call you product business analyst, they'll call you business solutions analyst, they'll call you, sometimes you're even a product owner, right? And the role actually is exactly what the BA is doing. They'll say business systems analyst, they'll say all kind of combinations of things. So don't be too put off by the title they gave the job, but look at what the job is requiring you to do. Like what's the day-to-day responsibility that they list, and that will tell you whether or not it's a job that you can do or not. So business systems analyst sounds to me like they want you to have a technical background. They want you to be able to maybe communicate more deeply with the technical team, or they may even want you to write code or write SQL queries, or they might have a technical component to it that they want you to be versed in. So they want you to play this dual role and wear these two hats. So it's for you to really look at the job description and see what is it that they're actually asking me to do, and don't be too concerned about just the title that they put, because again, employers are just putting anything out there. And it's also the reverse, where sometimes they say business analyst, but when you look at the job, you're like, this has nothing to do with business analysis. It's a financial reporting or data analyst or business intelligence analyst. So you have to really just focus on what the job requirements are and not necessarily just the title. All right?
All right, got it.
All right,
Thank you,
good.
Karaleise.
Awesome. Who else? Anybody else have any stories about job hunt?
Hi, Karaleise.
Hi.
Quick one, yeah. I had an interview recently, and the one question here that struck me was I was asked to explain how I would be able to explain to stakeholders when I have a complex problem. What technique do I use, or how will I explain a complex requirement to non-technical people? So I just want to hear what you're going to, how you're going to explain this.
Yeah, they gave you a question that was very vague, and I would have to ask them what kind of complexity, because it could be a technical complexity, it could be something on the business process. Like, just say a complex problem is a little bit vague, but in general they want to see how do you translate requirements that are maybe more technical to a non-technical group. Like if you take something from the dev team and you explain that to your business operations team, and you can't get into how the code is working because they don't follow you, how do you explain that to them? And the first thing that you'd want to do when you're answering a question like that is kind of set the stage that first of all, you make sure you understand the complexity yourself. You make sure you've done the research. You make sure you talk to the technical team. You have a better understanding of the actual technical problem, and then try to understand how it impacts the business. Like, okay, so you can't call this component, or we don't have this API. So what does that mean for the business? It means that we're not able to have this functionality. It means that we're not able to service our customers this way. So the way that you explain something complex is you're always looking for the business impact. And what does that result in? How does this complexity help? How does this complexity impede what we're trying to do? And so you can provide those, in layman's terms or in the company terms that the people you're talking to, the audience you're talking to can understand. And then you take that feedback and you bring it back to the technical team. So it's going to be like a communication. It's going to be like being able to translate, right? So that you can break down complex concepts into everyday working concepts that the people you're talking to who are not as technical can understand and can make decisions from. So again, because you don't have a concrete example, it's hard to just speak in high level, but that's the only way you can do it because they haven't told you an example of what kind of complex problem this could be. So you kind of have to just show them that you are able to take complex concepts from a technical team or from, maybe even a process and break it down into smaller chunks so you can explain it to the audience that you're talking to. Right?
Thank you. That's nice. Thanks.
Somebody raise their hand anytime. Go ahead.
Hi. So I just want to quickly say something about the last question, right? Mm-hmm. I know most of the time the question is usually flipped, and you hear. So can you take us through how you, in your previous role, how you explained to a non-technical person, or pretty much the same scenario, but then as against saying, take us through how you will. And sometimes if you ask them, so is it a technical issue, or they just tell you, can you tell us how you have addressed it in time past? So I just want you to touch on that quickly, like the best way to answer that.
Yeah, well, the best way is to tell a story. So when you go to your interviews, don't go to interviews with just high level like what I just told you. Go to them with a story. Have some concrete example. I was working on this project. This was a concern. We had a problem with the API. We couldn't get this data model. We couldn't provide the information. So the result was, because we couldn't get this particular field, that we would not be able to help the customer to automatically sign up or whatever the feature was. And then you have to walk them through, this is the challenge, this is where we found the problem, this is what it meant for the business. And then I took it to the business leaders and the stakeholders, had an interview with the stakeholders, explained to them what the issue was, and we brainstormed solutions, and you tell them what the solutions was, right? So all of your stories end on a good note because you try to just show how you were instrumental to arrive at this end solution. But you need a story for this. You need to if you need to explain something technical, you have to have these stories that you can walk through so the interviewers can see you in the role and they can see you actually solving it. Does that make sense? Pull a story from your actual experience, or pull a story from something you've worked on so that you can walk them through and show them exactly how you were to solve it. What they're asking you for is, tell me how you solved this problem in your previous role. They're not asking you to just tell them how this problem can be solved. They want to see how you, particularly in your situation, in your job, solve the problem. So you have to have a story ready to tell them. See what I mean? All right, somebody else has their hand up.
Yeah, amazing. Thank you.
Nevidita, go ahead. And somebody said, Chinwe on the live says, you have to turn into a storyteller in any interview. Exactly. The challenge that you guys are having, or some of the people who have reached out to me are having, is that they're telling these fluffy stories that nobody can relate to. I had a problem, we went into the team, we discussed it, we came up with a solution, and I was able to solve it. Nobody can follow that. Like, you have to get into like literal details. This is the exact problem. You don't want to go too much in details because you only have a short time, but you need to give them enough for them to be able to follow along and for them to see how you solve the problem. You got to get into storytelling. I work with people on this in my consults where I help you to craft better stories. But in general, the better your stories are, the more impactful your interview will be and the more likely you'll be to be the one to be chosen. All right, Nivedita, you've had your hand up for a while. Go ahead, please.
Yes. Hey, Karaleise, thank you so much for this session. It's amazing. Just to backtrack, I had asked the question that I'm a Salesforce business analyst and I'm still having challenging. So my situation is that I live in Michigan. Michigan is not an IT hub, and most of the roles that are coming in are for contract hybrid. My challenge is I cannot relocate because I have kids to to a different state for contract positions. So that's my biggest challenge, and that's why I'm trying to understand if there's any way I could transition into a non-Salesforce business analyst positions, because then that kind of opens up my arena of where I can apply for jobs. Because right now my resume is so heavily Salesforce based, is that I'm having difficulty getting non-Salesforce positions.
Exactly. So the way that you solve for this, and it's unfortunate because sometimes the jobs are even lying about the hybrid. I've taken jobs that told me that I have to be in the office in Atlanta twice a week, and to this day I've not been to that office. I went there for Christmas when they had a Christmas thing, and I've never been back, right? Because after a while, they start to trust you that you can get the job done and you don't need to be there face to face. So some of these hybrids are kind of lying. But here's how you transition. So you're already a BA. You already have BA skills. You already know how to do the job. You've just been applying it to this one tool called Salesforce. So for you, it's an easier transition into a generic BA as opposed to a specialist BA. What you have to do is you need to tweak your resume. Your resume probably has too much Salesforce stuff on it. So when they see it, they see Salesforce and they move on because they probably don't use Salesforce. So you need to go back and make a more generic resume. Make sure your summary speaks to you solving business analyst problem outside of the tool that you use, and make sure that you have, even in your bullet points, that you put things that are resolving the issues as opposed to resolving them in Salesforce. So try to kind of generalize your resume a little bit more. And there's some additional resume tips that I want to share. Summary is very important, professional summary. So you speak to you personally. I will do these things for your organization, right? Don't say I have 5 years of experience, I work in Salesforce. Nobody wants a laundry list of everything you've ever done. They're going to see that in your job experience, your work experience. Tell them something they don't know about you particularly and why you would be the best person for them to call back. And make that just maybe like 3 lines. It doesn't need to be a whole long paragraph, but 3 lines about you personally and how you are going to help them solve the main problems they have if they're looking for a BA, which is requirements, documentation, process improvement, liaison with the team. Put that in your line that you personally, you're coming in to help them with this. And then reorganize your resume and put it back out there and see the difference in the amount of calls that you should be getting.
Awesome. Right. Thank you so much.
You're
that
welcome.
Was amazing. Thank
You're
you.
welcome.
Thank you.
All right, I have Esther with a hand up, but let me read this one thing before. And I know I've missed a lot of comments that you guys have been putting in there. I apologize. So Obafemi says, I live in Manchester. I have gone through BA training and work experience, but I haven't been able to secure an interview since last year. What can I do? What could be the issue? Please help. Again, I always point to the resume. I have been so inundated with people asking me about resume and asking me about the job, and the minute I get a chance to speak with them and look at their resume, I'm like, I know why you're not getting the calls. I can see why. There's so much errors that people are putting on their resume, and even people who pay someone to do their resume for them. It's not tailored to the BA role, because the person you're paying probably doesn't know about the BA role, so they give you generic stuff. It's probably formatted when you pay them, but it doesn't have the details that would help them to pick you as the person. So if you're not getting any calls at all, that is a clear indicator that the resume is a problem. If you're getting calls or you're going to the interview and you're not able to get to the final rounds, or you're not getting a second interview, then there's a mix of things there going on. It could be the resume part of it, and it could just be your delivery in the interview. But for the majority of y'all, it's the resume. I'll tell you some of the things I've seen on resume that have been a complete no-no. And it's going to make a resume get tossed out in the garbage. The first thing is, your resume is not formatted properly. It's like the most obvious thing. I've seen resumes from senior BAs that have booked my consults, and senior BAs who have talked to me, And I couldn't believe the resume. So people have the skill to do the BA job, but they don't have the skill to talk about the BA job and to present themselves as a competent BA. The resume is your representation when you're not there. So when I see a resume from a senior BA and it is not formatted properly, everybody's going to assume that if you can't format your own resume, then you're not going to be able to write documentation for my clients. You're not going to be able to document anything, right? So why would I talk to you? I would not even call you back. And some of the recruiters, because they have other people to talk to, they look at your resume, oh, throw that one out. Don't even give you a chance to get into the room with them. So you need to format your resume properly. I strongly advise against using tables. People like to put things in columns. It makes it hard for the ATS to read the resume. And you need this automated system to read the resume because tables complicated. One column. Don't need a bunch of columns. People use creative names for their headings. Instead of work experience, they put something creative, something unique. We don't need creativity there, okay? You can be creative when you get the job. Put what everybody else is putting. Work experience, professional summary, education. We don't need all this fancy stuff that you're putting in there. It's gonna get your resume thrown out. The other thing too is some people put too many bullet points or not enough bullet points. So there's the people that put so many bullet points that you can't scan the thing. It's like, I don't even know what I'm looking at. And then you use words that are not very helpful for you. You use passive words that show that you're just there. When you read a resume and it sounds like the person was just at the job, maybe just bouncing around, probably helping one here and there, it's not very impressive. So stop using words like helped with or assisted with. Nobody wants to be, you're not applying for a job as an assistant. You need to be able to say conducted, created, documented, facilitated, strong, active words that show that you're in charge of the thing, right? Those are important things to put in your resume. Also, the people who put too few resume bullet points, it's because they're trying to fit the resume into just one page. And it's fine if you want to do that to make it easier to scan. But in the effort to fit it into one page, you leave off things that are important, right? So now we don't know your full capacity of what you've done in the past because you cut it off because you're trying to make it fit one page. 2 pages is okay. I'd rather you have 2 pages with enough information than 1 page with less because I don't know what to use to qualify you for the job. So those are some of the major mistakes. And people leave off their summary also. They don't have a professional summary. And then sometimes people put things on the resume that is speaking to them, like, Nivedita was saying, speaking to the job that you're coming from, what you have been, doesn't show you as the job you're going towards, what you're going up for. So when they see your resume and they see only Salesforce, for example, they're like, oh, she's a Salesforce BA. I don't use Salesforce. We use Dynamics, so we, not going to help. But if you speak to it in a generic way, it kind of helps you to fit for what the BA role is. But I think the main issue with resumes that we have is lying on the resume. Yeah, I'm just gonna say y'all are lying a lot. People are just insisting on lying. They tell me every day, Karaleise, if we do not lie, we will not get the job. So we have to lie. But the problem is that some of your lies are very obvious, but you don't know it. So for example, I get a resume come across my desk, and when I look at the resume, I know it's a bunch of lies. Like, I know, but they don't know that I know. First of all, this person put on their resume, every job, senior BA, senior BA, senior BA, senior BA, senior BA. There's no way that this person had up to 2013. Every job you've ever had is a senior BA. I don't believe you. Like, I just know it's not true. And if you look at, they didn't put their age, right? So you don't know how old they are, and it's okay not to put your age. You don't need to have anybody discriminate against you based on age. But the fact that you've only been a senior BA is highly suspicious. People tend to grow in their careers. Nobody just leaves college and become a senior BA and that's all they've ever done. It's very rare. And then when you look at the details of the bullet points, it also gives you away because you're lying. And we know you're lying. You know how we know you're lying? Because you claim to do everything in the project. You're the project manager, you're managing the budget, you're managing the scope, you're managing the requirements, you're managing the architecture, you're doing the coding, like everything. There's no way any project will have one person doing everything. But you don't know that we know that. So you put stuff in there that don't make any sense, or you'll talk about writing stories and writing BRD at the same time, which some projects are hybrid, but it's very rare that you're doing both just to for one. So there are things that give yourselves away. I advise that you don't stop with the blatant lying. I would advise, right? I would say if you've had a job that's not a BA, it's okay if you want to, change the title of the job to make it more BA friendly. It's okay if you want to reword what you've done in your previous role. Let's say you were a customer service agent. You can reword it to say that you help stakeholders as opposed to help customers, right? That you created reports. So there is ways that you can tweak it. But what I'm talking about is this blatant lying that comes from nowhere. That's like you've been an architect, you've been like the whole shebang, the whole software development life cycle. You alone doing it, right? It doesn't make any sense, right? So you can tweak your resume. I don't have a problem with that. You can make it more BA friendly. You can put words in there that are appropriate to BA, but the blatant lying is obvious to people. And when they see that, they'll just skip over you. And the other thing too that I find that gives people away is that you have all these things on your resume. How you've been a senior BA forever. When I click on your LinkedIn link, you have no picture. Your LinkedIn is completely empty. Doesn't make any sense. Right? So these are the things that people are out here doing. And then sometimes they come to me, Karaleise, I'm not getting a job. You need to work on your resume. A lot of people got to work on the resume. You got to make sure the resume, it has to represent you. It has to be the best representation of yourself, and it has to represent how you're going to move into the BA role. Right? Sorry for that long lecture, but it's just something people struggle with. People really are struggling. My dog agrees with me, he's barking. People really are struggling to get the job, and I want you to excel. But I see these things happening in some of these discussions after we do candidates, after we talk to candidates, and these are the things that the interviewers are saying. The recruiters don't know some of these things. They just give you a screening call to see if you know anything about the role. But when you get in with actual people who are like the project managers, the senior BAs, and they know what the role is about, sometimes you won't move forward if this is realized. Sometimes they won't care, they put you forward anyway, but a lot of times that's why you're not getting the job, because the resume isn't doing its job for you. All right, somebody put in here, Ego. Yes, Ego. He put a bunch of stuff in here: collaborated, supervised, accomplished. We don't want to use participated. We don't use that because that seems too passive. We don't want to use so he has accomplished too a little bit too passive. Directed, yes. Oversaw, I'm not too convinced about that. Orchestrated, yes. Executed, yes. So yeah, use those words. Those words show that you are in control, that you personally was doing this thing. That's what they want to see, right? All right, I spent a lot of time on that. We only have a few minutes left. I want to take one more on job hunt, and then we're going to move on to the next category, which is career achievements. Okay, go ahead, Esther. You had your hand up for a long time.
Okay, thank you, Karaleise, and good morning, everyone. So this question that I had, I've been having a lot of interviews, and I had to turn one down because it was just too far from me, But one of the interviews I had, and they asked me a question about how do you handle multiple projects that have the same deadline. I was kind of stuck on that one because I'm like, how? I give the best knowledge of what I thought I could answer, that you need to prioritize which one is closer to the delivery. But they were like, no, but how do you handle multiple? I'm like, wait a minute. I just got stuck on that one. Then secondly, I have an upcoming interview, and I know you said you've been in the retail, you've been in the banking, you're in the banking, and I have an upcoming banking retail technically says retail business analyst. So I just wanted you to give me like a little tweak on some of the possible thing, because I know they said I'm a possible travel to some of their local places to go gather requirements, but they also said that they have third-party vendors, So like, how do you just collaborate it's kind of tricky. So because I know I will be interviewing with a couple of people, not just one person in my next phase. So
sorry, I missed the last question because I was focusing on the live chat. But I answered the first one, and you'll restate the last one in a minute. So the first one you asked was about multiple projects with the same deadline. So what they want is, as a BA, unfortunately, we work on a lot of different things. And I've worked with people in the past who cannot manage multiple things. Actually, when I did a study in 2021 about the job market, I had a job market report that I published that year. One of the things that they actually value in the BA is multitasking. It's bad because we really shouldn't be multitasking because you end up doing multiple things badly. But unfortunately, multitasking is a very important skill for the BA, and you'll be working on multiple projects who sometimes have the same deadline. So what they're asking you is, how do you prioritize? That's the question. So it's for you to understand what they're asking you and answer it that way. So those are some of the skills I teach in my consult. They may ask you a question in different ways, but you have to learn the interview skill to break it down. Okay, what are they actually asking me? They're actually asking you, how do you prioritize? And you need to be able to say to them that if I'm working on multiple projects that have the same deadline, it depends on where the project is. Let's say one project is, in the middle of development. The other one is at the beginning where we're, eliciting requirements, and whatever that next phase is, then I would need to speak with the project team to figure out, okay, which one of these things that I need to do is the most highly prioritized. So I'd have to work closely with my product owner or project manager to make sure that the tasks that I need to deliver for the project to move forward can be prioritized. Because if you have multiple projects at the same deadline, obviously there's competing priorities, right? So when you have competing priorities, you yourself can prioritize your tasks, but you also want to make sure it meets the prioritization that the project managers have. So you have a communication with them to figure out, okay, these are all the things I need to have requirements for this, I need to have documentation for this, I need to have a stakeholder meeting, I need to have a workshop. Whatever the thing is that you need to do, you need to work with your team to make sure that you can deliver it at the time when they need it to meet the deadline of the project. But you need to get help from the project manager to make sure you're prioritizing at the right level so that you can get it done, right? So it's not a question that only you prioritize for yourself, but in this case, because it's projects that you have to work on, you have to incorporate the project team and the project leader or the steering committee or whoever it is that's deciding on the prioritization of this thing. Does that make sense?
Yeah, got it. That makes better sense.
What was the second one? Yeah.
I was talking about the retail business analyst interview. It's my second phase. So, but I'm going to the interview with a couple of people. I guess they're bringing some stakeholders from the different retail part of the banking. So one of the things they told me that they expect, because now they have projects that they're working on, they're transitioning from a different system to a new system. So they want people to be able to do local travels to go gather requirements. So I'm just trying to get some kind of a little what's to focus on in my delivery when I'm trying to answer these questions.
Yeah, but it depends. All business analyst interviews are kind of the same. It's just basically, are you able to elicit requirements, and are you able to translate those requirements so the technical team can know what to build and communicate that back to the project team and to help the users of whatever you're building be able to use it, right? Excuse me. So that's really the gist of what it is. Whether you have to run a workshop, whether you have to do it as stakeholder interviews, whether you have to do it as documentation analysis, it doesn't matter. It's the quest. Even though it's retail banking, it's not much different than if you're doing like e-commerce store or if you're doing whatever utilities. The industry doesn't really matter here. What matters is your techniques as a BA. So as they ask you questions, regardless of it's banking or not, you just need to be able to explain to them your technique for doing that, because they know that you wouldn't know everything about that bank, right? And I don't know if you've worked in banking before, but you don't necessarily need to be a subject matter expert in banking products to be a BA for a bank. It's the subject matter expertise in business analysis that you need, the techniques for business analysis that you need. So if you can demonstrate those techniques, that would be enough to get you through in the interview. All right? Okay, guys, I know a bunch of people have their hands up, but we really have to move on to the next category.
Okay. Thank you.
Because you're welcome. Because we only have a short, we have like 10 minutes left. I extended this to an hour, but I sometimes feel like we need even more than an hour. Okay, so I want to switch to the next topic, but before I do, there's one comment here on the live that I've been ignoring the live for a little bit. Sorry, guys. Um, there's a question that says, "What if your first job? What if it's your first job and you have not had any experience except for the training on BA?" Well, what happens? Well, good luck to you. You've actually accomplished getting a job, right? When you've only had training, so you've actually met the bar at least for starting your career. So now you've started. Now that you've started the job, you actually have to do the job. That's the problem, right? So you've had the training, and unfortunately, the training is going to be more textbooky. It's going to be more theoretical, and now you have to apply yourself in the actual field. So what you do is, one, watch my videos because I give a lot of details on the videos. I also have a concept called the New Job Game Plan where I can walk you through how do you work on your first project? Who do you talk to? What do you ask them? How do you make sure you deliver on the project so that the people who hired you feel like they made the right choice with hiring you? How do you create documentation that's going to be useful, that is what they expect? How do you write user stories? So I have this concept that helps just to walk you through the role so you know what to expect and you don't feel as much overwhelmed when you get started, because they're going to start pressuring you soon for requirements for all the things, and you're going to like, oh my God, what do I do? So with this concept, I walk you through the steps as to how you handle the first project and how you get to a place where you can be successful. And I also give you in that consult a documentation kit that has different resources, examples of presentations and templates and user stories and case studies, so that you can look and find something that hopefully will be similar to what they're asking you to do, and you know what it should look like, so that you can produce high quality requirements and documentation from the first get-go, right? So consider doing that consult to help you to become ready for the first role. But part of it is you already made a milestone achievement, right? You got the job. So I'm very proud of you for getting the job. Now let's just work on doing the job, and there's tons of resources on my website, on like consultations, on free videos. There's tons of resources to help you to excel in this new role. All right, so that's a great segue into people who have switched their jobs or switched their careers, or people who have started a new job, or even working in a job as a BA. What are you guys feeling out there? What's going on for people who already have a job as a BA? Who wants to go?
What was your question? I'm sorry.
So this is for people who we're switching now from the job hunt into the career. So for people who already are working as a BA, or people who already landed a job. Sorry, my dog is making a bunch of noise. So people who have already landed a job, what's going on in your work world, and is there any questions that you want to ask me about, ongoing projects or something you're working on in the BA role? Or anything you want to share. If somebody just landed a job and you want to share that you just got a job, that's great too. We want to celebrate you. So we have a couple of people with their hands up. Yeah, Abigail, go ahead. I'm sorry if you weren't. If somebody else had their hand up, I'll get to you in a minute. I apologize. Go ahead, Abigail.
Yeah. Hello, everyone. For me, I've been working in a financial company. It's been going well, and thank you a lot, Kara. You helped me get into the job. I think I paid for your class for the interview after I got up from the boot camp, and I was so nervous. I was telling her, I don't know if I can do this. That was last 3 years, but that has been great. Some companies, the environment, like the job is good, but the environment is too, I don't know, like everybody is on their own. No BAs are saying hi to each other, no collaboration. The manager made it clear that they just throw you on the project and it's hard to ask, but you have to figure it out on your own. So in an environment like that, I don't even want to come to work the next day.
Oh no.
So for that reason, currently I'm in the job market to searching because I'm looking for like a better environment, and I don't know how. I don't know if I should stay or just keep looking till I find that good environment. The job is not a problem now, it's just the team, the people you're working with, just not giving.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that, because you know what? The number one reason people leave their jobs is not because the job is too difficult or they can't do it. It's because of the management, because of the culture, because of the environment. People tend to leave the job because of bad managers, bad culture. And when you're working with people who make it a nightmare to work with, then you definitely don't want to stay there. So I would say though, while you're there, um, learn things that can help you for the next job. Does that make sense? Like you want to document some of the problems that you're solving, some documentation that you've created, if you can copy them and anonymize them, like remove things out of them that would be, like under NDA or whatever. But you want to set yourself up for the next job so you can have the stories, because you won't remember. When you leave the job, you don't remember. So write down things like, okay, this is a project I was working on. These are some of the details. Because like for me, I forget things very easily. Especially if it's work related, I forget it. But if you document it so you can have better stories to tell in your interviews for the next job, that would be helpful for you, so you can have some concrete examples to share when you're interviewing. All right?
Okay, thank you.
So I'm going to read this one from Abimbola on the live. Sorry, guys, on live, I'm just picking random stuff. I'm not going through all of them. Apologies. So working on maintaining, identifying issues on SPM system errors. Keep wondering if the BA role, as I seem like analyzing systems. So what I'm understanding from this is that this person is in a BA role, but they seem to be doing lots of technical stuff. Like they're analyzing systems and fixing systems. So the employers will get away, if they can get away with having you do this stuff, they will. They'll ask you to do it, right? They'll put you in a more of a system role. Now if that's what you signed up for, if that's what the job was when you got the job, maybe you just have to look for another job. But sometimes you can speak to your manager and say, well, I've been kind of stuck in the rut doing a lot of technical stuff, and I really want to expand more on my BA skills where I can, come up with features and functionality and work with a technical team to build new things. Is there any way that we could work on maybe a transition into something that's more doing that? Sometimes you don't want to expose that you're unhappy because they use it against you, but sometimes you have no choice but to try to see if you can get out of that that little niche that they have you stuck in. So you have to really analyze the situation a little bit carefully, see how receptive they would be to something like that. I'm sure you might have one-on-ones with your manager and see if that would be something that they'd be more willing to listen to. So don't show that you're completely unhappy, like show excitement about your role, but try to see if there's any way that you could move into something else, right? Because if you're good at what you're doing, they want to keep you, they don't want you to leave. But if you're stuck doing just technical stuff that you're not growing in, it's also unfair to you. So I think that's something you should look into, how to navigate that. Okay. Oh gosh, so many people. Who was the next person? Omolara, I think. Go ahead, Omolara.
Yes, hi. Good morning, Karaleise. Thank you so much. I have a quick question. I'm trying to transition into becoming a BA, but I'm working on my resume, of course. But the thing is, I know you said a lot of things about how to, transferable skills and stuff like that. But when it comes to the title of the role, you already said you shouldn't like it. So I'm trying to keep it as is. But the thing is, I hope it's not going to be a problem when you use your actual role in your previous job.
It depends on what your actual role in your previous job was, right?
Yes. For instance, if when you have experience to be an underwriter, credit analyst, definitely working with guidelines, talking to clients, trying to get what your requirements are, things like that, then that's how you work on your reviews when it comes to definitely writing the loans or underwriting the loans and everything like that. So yes.
Right. So you're trying to transition from an underwriter to a BA, correct?
Correct.
All right. So it's a good transition. It's actually I see lots of similarities between what an underwriter does. They're very detailed. You're in the weeds. You're calling back. You're talking to stakeholders. You're looking at documentation. There's a lot of things that you do that lend itself to the BA role. So what you need to do is you can say credit analyst on there. And you can put things like, documentation, reporting, communicating with stakeholders, all of the different things that you do, but using the BA terms, right? Not customers, stakeholders, not, using the terms that we know that we do in the BA role. Okay. And you can still say credit analyst.
Instead of clients, you say stakeholders.
Yeah, it's clients and stakeholders, reports. Like if you're looking at let's say they're looking for a mortgage or a home mortgage, right? And they upload their documents, you got to do that. You could say document analysis to make sure that the requirements are met. You know what I mean? So you use all of these terms, and you can still say credit analyst. As a matter of fact, when you're trying to be a business analyst, any analytical role is okay. It doesn't have to say business analyst alone. It could even be business credit analyst. Or so they can see that you have that background. And in your case, because you have such detail in underwriting, I would definitely go into banking and fintech or any banking industry. It's the third largest hiring of BAs. So, well, actually, it's the second. So the first is IT, software. The second is fintech, and the third is healthcare. So there's a lot more jobs in banking for BAs as well. So with your background as a credit analyst, it shouldn't be too difficult. And somebody right here which says, this is Wayne, on the consulting, do you cover how to improve your CV? Yes, in the BA interview success blueprint consult, I don't write the CV for you, but I look at it, what you've written, and I'll tell you where you're making mistakes, and I give you suggestions as to how to improve it, so that by the time you leave the consult, you should have a resume that should be functioning for you in your absence. So you can consider doing that.
So is it okay to just start from being a junior business analyst, or I'm just trying to see where to start from, because I really like to have the experience instead of just jumping into mid-level things like that.
You don't have to say junior. You can just say business analyst.
Oh, okay.
But don't go for senior, because senior is they're gonna throw you in the sea, girl. You're gonna be swimming out there like, oh my God, save me, somebody. All right. So I know we're at time. We're actually 1 minute over. For those of you who have to drop, thank you so much for joining. And we always have so much to talk about. We always go over a little bit, but thank you so much. This will be recorded, and I'll put it on my website. I don't know. The live will be on YouTube, so you can watch the rest of it if you have to drop. And you can also find it on my website. So thank you all. For those who can stay a little bit more, maybe another 15 minutes, we can keep going, and then we'll wrap up. All right? Thanks, everybody. So,
how can we find your community? I don't know if you want to put that.
The community, for now, it's on Facebook. For now, you can, I think, Joshua, you can put the link in here. For now, it'll be the Facebook group, but I am building a community that would be more specialized for just BAs, where you'll be able to take courses, you'll be able to get documentation, you'll be able to chat with each other, just in a private setting. So all of that is coming up. Can't give you a date yet because it's still being built. So we gotta wait for that to be ready. But that's coming up. All right, so there's somebody on the live that was asking me about AI-powered projects. I think this is Shaista. So AI-powered projects, it depends on what the AI project is about. If the project is to build the AI, it's just the same business analysis. You just have to use more machine learning and more AI tools. And the requirements, the way you write them are a little bit different, right? Because you have to make sure that you do a lot of testing and a lot of variations of stuff. So AI-powered projects, it's kind of broad when you say it that way, because it incorporates many different things. What kind of AI? What is it exactly is it powering? How does that work? What API is it calling? So I can't speak to it generically like that, but again, you're a BA, so don't worry about the type of tool you're creating. It's a matter of the techniques that you're applying as a BA, the elicitation of the requirements, the documentation of the requirements, the conversation with the stakeholders, and the ability to test to make sure it's actually doing what it's supposed to do. All right, so it doesn't matter if it's you just building like a website versus an AI-powered, chat GPT software. It doesn't matter. The techniques is what matters, and you're a BA, so you should be able to dominate those techniques. All right. All right, so one more question from Ramba. It says, can you please throw some light on the relationship that BA should maintain with the product owner, and how to make to get the requirements when they give you vague summary of things? I think what they're asking is, what's the relationship like between the BA and the product owner? And if they give you vague summary, how do you navigate that? So it depends on how your organization is structured, right? So it could be that the product owner is here and they give directions to you as a BA right here, right? So you are reporting up to the product owner. It could be that you kind of have a dual role where sometimes they do it, sometimes you do it. And it could also be that the product owner is like at almost like a C level, like a VP level, and you're just, several tiers below them. So it depends. But in general, the way that we work with product owners is that we help, not really help, we actually do all the details for all the stories that we're working on. So the product owner sets the priority. What is prioritized? Of all the things we got to do in the backlog, which ones do we need to have done for the next sprint and the sprint coming, right? So what are the features or the epics that we're going to prioritize? The product owner normally determines that. Once a prioritization has been made, then you as a BA should go in and come up with all the details of the user stories to make them in the definition of ready so that they can be pulled into the next sprint. That's what it is. So the product owner gives you a vague summary. Okay, we need to work on this and this and this and this. And you're not clear as to what the priority is. It's your job to go ask them, hey, we have these epics. You told us that these things are ready, but it's broken up into these epics. So which of these stories do we need to put in for the next sprint? Be proactive. Don't wait for them to give you all of the details. They're not going to give it to you on a platter. You have to make some, if you're not getting what you need, you have to kind of force them to give it to you. Set a meeting on the calendar with the product owner, and it's a refinement session. That's probably just you and the product owner, maybe one tech lead or somebody, and say, this is the backlog. We have all of these stories. Which of these do we need to work on next? So you want to do this one. If they say this, you move it to the top, and you keep organizing the thing for maybe for the next sprint. It depends on how much people you have in your sprint and how long your sprint is, all that. But you meet with them and you ask them to prioritize. So that's typically how we work with them. They give you the priority, and you now know what to focus on, because you can't focus on the entire backlog. You don't have all that time. So which of these things do I need to focus on to get all the requirements for so I can get the work done? That's how you work with them, all right? I hope that was helpful. Okay, DOR equals DOD. Kyle, I love it. Definition of ready equal definition of done. Definition of ready, sprints, and definition of done, right? So definition of done, which is how do you know when a story is done? It could be varied, depends on certain conditions that you want in the story. So I've worked on teams where in order for a story to be considered done, it not only has to be built and coded and tested, but it also has to be approved by the PO. It also has to be, published to a UAT environment or some other environment. So there's a number of things that they can add to make it considered done. So there's a lot of different ways that people define done, and it depends on your organization as well. All right, so before we go, I want to jump into career achievements. So we talked about job hunt, we talked about switching careers, but I want to celebrate people who have been able to achieve something in your career. So whether it is that you got promoted, or you got a new job, or you got recognized for something, any stories like that, let me know. Any career achievement stories from anybody. People have had their hands up for a long time. Let me see. Adefunke, do you want to go? Adefunke? I'm not sure if it's a career achievement, but go ahead.
Yeah, it's not career achievement. It's just concerning the previous topic we just spoke about.
Okay, let me see if I can answer it quickly. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, I just landed my first PA role. I switched my career path. So I would say I'm 3 months on the job right now. But what I noticed is I've been having issues navigating through because I am the only PA in the company, and the first PA in the company. There's no project manager or any PO I'm working with on a project. So at the moment I'm working on a project where I started from the discovery phase, and I documented all the necessary information. But what I noticed is I'm actually left alone to get the project done. Apparently, everyone work independently. Then I don't even know who to talk to or what to do in that case. I don't know if you have an advice that I can go. I can. What you can give me?
Yeah. What's the title of your job? Is it a senior BA role?
No, just BA.
Just BA. All right. Well, you actually are in the two categories. So one, you switch jobs, and two, you just got a job. So that is a career achievement. So congratulations on your new job. Yeah, it's not uncommon for them to just throw you in the project and say go and write requirements and do stuff, and nobody's giving you nobody's walking you through the process as to how exactly do I do that, right? It's very common because they just say you're a BA, you'll figure it out, right? And it's hard when this is your first job. And this is why some people say, you can just become a BA and it's going to be like a walk in the park. You don't have to write code. You can just be a BA. The truth is, there isn't a guide because every project is different. There's no steps to follow. You come up with your own steps. So it's a little bit difficult to advise you when I don't know the details of what you're trying to do. But in general, you want to figure out what is it that you do know. What can I know, right? So some of the things are like, okay, I have a project and I have to write requirements, but take a step back. Okay, where can I find some information? Maybe not all of it, but some. Are there documents that I can go read? Is there a system? Can I go look at the system manual? Do I have access to the system to go in myself to see what they're doing? What are the problems that people are facing? What is the point of this project? Why did they come up with this project? What are they trying to solve for? So you kind of have to step back and think about what are the things that you can know, that you do know, that's available for you to find out, right? And then from there, you'll formulate the questions that you need to ask. And then from the questions you need to ask, you figure out who to ask those questions to. So you kind of have to step back. What's the problem? What are we doing? Why do we have this project? What is the documentation or the access or the tools that I need to use to be able to understand this project? Who are the people I can talk to give me an overview of how they're working in the system today? Because somebody's doing something. If this is something that they need to do to make money or for the business to operate, they're doing it some way today. What is that way and why is that painful and why do we need to solve for it? So it's always taking that step back that's going to give you enough background for you to move forward. Kind of like you have to go backward to go forward, right? But again, these are some of the exact things we talk about in the consult, the new job game plan, which is where do you start in a project like this? Especially if the project is midway. If you're at the beginning, that's great. But if you land in the job and they're already in implementation, how can you come in as a BA and add value right away, right? What do you do? How do you talk to people? So those are some of the things that you'd have to look into. And again, the project, I don't know what the project is about, so it'll probably take me more time to go through that with you. But you generally want to start with the problem and work your way from there. All right?
Okay.
So thank you. Here's another question from Shaista. Enhancing COTS application, integrating AI, that is AI-powered loan origination system application enhancement. So COTS is commercial off the shelf, which is like an out-of-the-box system. They call it COTS. I don't know why they call it. I don't like that term. I like OOTP, out of the box. It's easier to follow. And they're enhancing with AI. So again, Shaista, it depends on what the AI is doing. Again, you just have to go back to requirements. What is the requirement that they need? What is the problem you're solving? What is it that the developers need to build to make this AI work, right? And again, don't worry about what the end result of the tool is. Like, worry about how you as a BA can provide the requirements that they will need to be able to make sure that this thing can be built and tested. And so that's it. Some people get overwhelmed when the project they're working on is so fancy. Oh my God, it's machine learning. Oh, what am I going to do? It's the same skills that you use for regular stuff anyway. The skill that you need to use is not going to change regardless of what the output of the project is. So just hone those skills and you should be successful. All right? All right, we have 2 minutes. Career achievement. Who has any career achievement they want to share? Anybody who's gotten a job, got promoted, got something positive, we want to celebrate you. Sorry, my pen fell. We want to celebrate you. We want to applaud you. Who else has their hand up? Just go ahead. Anybody who had their hand up, I can't see the list. I think, was it Safia maybe? I can't see everybody, so I don't want people to be waiting for so long. Just go ahead and talk. Go ahead.
Hi, this is Elizabeth. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. Go ahead.
Yeah, I just got a new job with as a senior business analyst for a pharmaceutical company in the UK. So I'm excited about that. You know, working with a global team over more than 100 countries. So different projects, different priorities. So I'm really happy about that.
Nice, congrats, girl. Very awesome. It's challenging working with a global team because you have to navigate time zones. Yeah, and what have happened to me in the past with global teams is that I end up working much longer hours because sometimes I have something to work on, but my team in India is up when I'm sleeping. So I'm like, oh, I could just put this requirement in and they can work on it. So when I wake up in the morning, then they'll have it done. And I sometimes don't regulate myself when I just work too long. And then they wake up in the morning and they send me a bunch of questions. And by the time you get to stand up, you have a ton of questions that you haven't even looked at. So my only caution to you is just remember your time zone. right? And work your time zone hours. So you don't have burnout, right? But it's exciting. It's exciting. And you get to be exposed to something that's, international probably. And you get to have influence, and you're going to be instrumental in building this new, whatever the project does. So I'm very happy for you. And I congratulate you and I celebrate you. Very good. Very good to hear that. Thank you so much for sharing, Elizabeth. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Who else has some good news to share with us? Who else? Safia, I think you had your hand up. Want to go ahead? Abigail, you also have your hand up?
I had my hand up for question.
Go ahead.
My question is, during interview, the interviewer was asking me if I should list our customers, the name of the customers we work for in the financial sector. Is that okay to tell your interviewer the list of the customers or clients you guys are working for?
No, what do they want to know that for?
I didn't mention that. The interview went well, but I was kind of giving them hard time back. I'm not supposed to mention that. I'm not okay mentioning that. And then they mentioned one or few of their own clients. I'm like, oh, that's fine, but I don't feel comfortable listing that.
I mean, it's a little bit of a navigation. I find that those things are red flags to me. Why would they ask you about the customers of your company in an interview? It's not your personal customers, it's your company's customers. And if you have any affiliation to your company, you would want to disclose who their clients are, unless that's unless it's a publicly available information. For example, I work on banking applications where we're building really detailed banking solutions. I'm not going to go to another interview and say this is our customer, this is our customer. You know what I mean? I feel like it would be a little bit of it's none of their business.
Right.
And it could be a test to see how much information you're willing to disclose in an interview. Or they could genuinely want to know, but I think I would shy away from that question too, and I would say, well, right now I'm under NDA and I'm not able to disclose, but we have large customers who have, over 45 million in total assets. I'll tell stuff about the kinds of customers that I have, but I wouldn't say exactly who it is. You know what I mean? So I don't want to seem like I'm avoiding the question because I'm in an interview, I want to get the job. But I also want to be clear that I don't want to disclose that I'm not allowed to disclose, but I can tell you details about the types of customers that we have and the number of customers that they have and details about their revenue or their portfolio or whatever, right? So I'll do that so they feel like I've answered them, but I haven't disclosed exactly who that customer is. Does that make sense? That's how I would answer that one.
Thank you.
Yeah. All right. Career achievement. Going once. Going twice. Let's see what y'all saying on the live. Okay. This one's live. Faith and Work says, thanks for the live, Karaleise. Wish me the best as I apply to entry-level BA jobs. Applying as we speak. What? Let's send some energy over to live, Faith and Work, girl. We want you to get the job. We want you to be successful. We want you to land and start your career as a BA. We're going to send you all the good energy over there. So as you apply, you can get calls and you can go into that room and you can knock it live, right? You can get that job. We want to send you some good energy. Thank you so much. How many projects usually a BA needs to manage? It depends. They can have you working on multiple projects. It depends on what you're doing on each of those projects. I've been on projects before where I've been allocated 25% to one project, 25% to the other one, and 50% to another project. I will tell you, when anybody allocates you, quarter of your time over here and quarter of your time over here and half of your time over there, it's a disservice to you. Because no way as a BA can you do quarter requirements. You got to do the whole thing, right? You have to talk to all the stakeholders. You got to do the entire workshop. So what they've done to you is, as a disservice, is they've given you 3 projects that you have to be a full-time BA 100% of the time on all 3, which is unfortunate. So you really have to be, careful how you navigate that one. What I've done in the past is I've told the other project, hey, I'm only here 25% of the time. Is there anything you need urgently for me to give you? Oh, we need these requirements. Okay, I'll give you the requirements, but I won't be able to finish until XYZ time because I'm working on these other projects. So you have to tell people how you can work with them when you're given multiple projects so you don't overwhelm and you don't burn out, right? Don't allow everybody to be bombarding you at the same time for the same things because it takes time to come up with these requirements, it takes time to write user stories. You have to tell them how to work with you so that you don't become like working all day, working all night. You have to manage them, right? And they have to work on your schedule. After a while, when you become a professional, you've been in this career for a while, you learn those skills. If you're a new BA, it's a little bit harder to have the conversation, but you have to guard against working 300%, right? Working 200%. Like you really have to manage your time wisely, otherwise you'll be stressed out. All right, I think we're coming to the end again. We're 20 minutes over, but is there anything, any final thing anybody want to add, like a really burning question that you just need to get answered, like today, that I can answer for you before we end? Anybody have a burning question?
Hi, Karaleise. We've got some stuff on the idea board.
Oh man, I didn't even look at the idea board. Oh my goodness, I don't know how much time we have with the idea board. I'm sorry, I forgot about it. I didn't forget. I just was so caught up talking about other things. Can you put the link to the idea board again in there, Joshua, so I can get to it? While I'm looking for that, I'm going to read this from the live. So I'm selected, this is AP channel, I'm selected in Deloitte. May I know being working as a consulting analyst is tough to manage things. Deloitte. I've worked with the big six. So there are 6 huge consulting companies out there. This, how to work with external clients. You're going to learn how to make sure you keep very accurate documentation, and it's a very fast-paced environment. I'll say that there's a lot of fast-paced movement. At the time when I was working with them, I had emails coming in. I felt like there's emails flying over my head, like all the time. Emails coming in, Teams chat over here, Slack over here, requirements over here. I mean, it was a lot. It was a lot to work with Deloitte, but very professional people, very thorough, very well documented. I really think that it's a great company for you to work with, and I celebrate you with starting your job with them. But just expect that it's fast-paced, and there'll be a lot of things for you to do. All right, let's jump over to this idea board right here. Let me see if I can share it on the Zoom. See, it's share. Let's share this tab. All right, so what do we got? So, what's going well? Your content has been amazing. Oh, I like that. Guys, I like compliments. So if you guys want to compliment me, I don't have any problem with it. Send me compliments, send me emails. I love it. I soak it up. I love the YouTube shorts as well. Very engaging and practical. Yeah, I've been doing more shorts, and I try to make the shorts more punchy, because I can't train you in 60 seconds, right? The things I want to tell you, it's going to take longer. So I've tried to make the shorts like a different kind of content a little bit, so that you can get some value quickly. But if you really want the training, if you really want to learn how to do stuff, you have to watch a longer form video, because that's where I can get into more detail and I can help you much more. And then somebody said, so thank you so much for that. Somebody says, your videos are practical and helpful, as I have gotten my job watching it. Also helpful on the job guidance. Thanks. Yay. And I got one, upvote. So guys, you can go in here and upvote. So you don't have to create your own cards, but you can go in here and upvote. I'm sorry for the people on the live. The link is in the email if you signed up, and we could put it on the Global BA Stand-Up board. So for those of you on the YouTube live, next month in May, I don't have the date yet, but the first Monday in May, we'll have this again. So you guys can register. You can go to the board. You can add your comments on the board. You can still join live, but you can also participate by adding the comments, or you can join in the Zoom where you can talk to me live as well. So what's not going well? So a couple of things not going well for people. So one person is saying, I'm not getting any interviews. And again, we talked about that being a big culprit of that is the resume, but also the market has just been rough. It's short, it's hard, but people are getting interviews. So you just have to be much, much better. You got to do volume, much more applications going out. You got to have better quality resume, and you have to be much more knowledgeable in the interview itself. So it's tough, but you can do it. The market over the last few months has been dry. It's been rough. I wouldn't say dry, because people are getting jobs. It's just that you have to excel a little bit more. And you can find more creative ways to do the BA role, right? Like contracts, shorter term contracts. You could try to put a gig on maybe Fiverr or Upwork. You can find some other places to find jobs apart from LinkedIn and Indeed. So you got to be a little bit more creative to see how you can get more jobs out there. Okay, what's not going well? I want to know how to get a contract role. Doesn't everybody? So it's the same type of way that you get any other job. You just have to put your resume out there, and then you have to basically put more resumes out there with higher quality details in your resume. And if it says contract, then you apply for those first. But those are the only things I can say. I don't know if anybody have been successful doing it any other way. I've seen people who have reached out to companies directly, but I'm not seeing that be successful. I feel like the company reaching out to you has been more successful than you trying to, reach out to them. So you just have to stick in there, keep applying. It's very difficult right now, and it's very disheartening. Like, why am I not getting a job? But this is just the way it is right now. So you have to find some other sources of income while you're looking for your career as a BA, if you're out unemployed at the moment. All right, every job is different. What's your typical advice to make good first impression first 3 months as a business analyst, and quick wins? So your quick wins is, as soon as you get this job and you start day one, start documenting stuff. So if you get to a meeting and you don't know what they're talking about because you don't know the company, don't know the products, don't know anything they're talking about, if you can document what they said, like pay attention to the meeting and say, these are the things that we talked about. Like at the end of the meeting, everybody go about their business. You can put an email together and say, thanks everyone for participating in the meeting. Here's what we discussed, bullet point, bullet point, bullet point. Here's the next step that we agreed on, bullet point, bullet point, bullet point. And send that out. It's simple. It shows that you were paying attention, and all you're doing is telling them what they already talked about. So you're not coming up with anything new, but now it's documented somewhere. And that can help them to start seeing value in you immediately. And also they get to see your name in the email and say, who's this person? Oh yeah, that's a new BA. So you get your name out there, right? So things like that, small things like that. When you first get your job and you're working on there, you'd hope that your manager will introduce you to the team, and hopefully they've done that. Try to meet with the team members one by one and say, hey, I'm a new BA. I'm trying to make sure I'm very successful. What are some of the things that's been happening, like with the requirements or this project, that you'd like me to improve on as I go into this role? Small things, right? So little things you can do for quick wins, because you don't know the system yet, you don't know the people yet, don't know the product yet, you're fresh off the boat. You can get a sense for what the project is about. You can start building rapport right away. One of the biggest quick wins is to build relationships as soon as you can, right? And then get access to the documents, get access to the tools, try to play around with it, make sure you understand how it works, read the documentation, read the user manuals, soak things up. That's how you get a quick win. All right, hopefully that was helpful. The other one that says, what's not going well? Do you have any advice on to taking better and faster notes as a BA, or do you have templates? Notes as a BA, well, this is my tool, notebook. I write everything on it. And you know what? I'm gonna share a secret with you. And it's gonna sound silly, but all of my notebooks are like blank, or they have dots. I love, anybody want to send me a notebook with dots in there? I love dots. Why? Because I feel like I'm charting my own path. There's no lines to follow, you know what I mean? But yeah, my tool is a notebook. I take notes in my notebook. Sometimes I can take notes on like a note application on my computer, and then I copy those notes and paste it into my chat or my email. So it's definitely easier if you can do it electronically. But I just find that as the meeting's going on, I just take the notes and I go back and review my notes later. But to each his own. If you like taking notes electronically so you can share it later, that's fine too. All right, what's blocking you? Let's look at that real quick. So people are blocked by stuff. And this one says, I have too many tools at my new job and I don't know which one to use and don't want to be a bother to my coworkers. What are the tools? Somebody wrote, let me see how this works. What are the tools giving you a hard time? If you don't mention it, we can't read your mind. I think I don't know who wrote that, but I think what they're trying to say is sometimes you get a job and there's so many tools. You have a documentation tool, you have the tool for you to do the job, you have ticketing tool, you have all of these different things that you don't even know which one does what. And you don't want to be a bother to people. Say, okay, I'm trying to solve this problem. Which tool do I go into? So hopefully you did an onboarding, and in your onboarding they should expose you to what the tools are. What I would say is make use of your bookmarks, right? Go into your, if it's a web tool, most of the tools are web tools anyway, go to your bookmarks and create a thing that says tool for ICT, tool for whatever software, tool for customer, whatever that the things are. Create a folder and put them in there. So one, you can always find them. And two, if you haven't done training, if there's no online training for that, or if they haven't done onboarding, then you need to sit with somebody, have them train you as to how these tools work and which ones do what. So you can have that information and hopefully you'll be able to use that. And if you don't remember something, I don't think you have to feel ashamed to ask. You can just send a Teams message or a Slack message and say, hey, I'm trying to solve this problem. Which tool should I use? And that's it, you know? Shouldn't be a problem. Okay, anyone in the e-commerce field, e-commerce business analyst? I think that should be a question that we'll put in the chat as opposed to a blocker. All right, service designers do all the requirement session, unable to differentiate my role from a service designer. I don't know what a service designer is. I think you mean like a UX designer? Could be?
Yeah. Yes. Sorry, Karaleise, it's me. I'm from London. So yeah, thank you so much. So this is I'm facing this problem. It's like a US design, but it's more from a public sector project I'm working on. So they have introduced this one as a service designer, and they say a service designer do all the requirement gathering sessions, even you know, how do you design the UX, what fields comes next. So everything they are doing, and I feel I'm being left out just to do, and they have done just to write the ACs. You getting me? So I'm a bit stuck. So I don't know whether I should look for a new role or is.
Why are you complaining? Somebody helping you do your job, girl.
Yeah, but how will you justify? Because you are not owner of, you're not doing stuff. So I feel a bit left out, you know, because I'm not engaging. So I don't know the requirement exactly. So I feel I'm stuck somewhere here.
Okay, so the problem is that you have UX designers who are doing the conversation with the clients, and they come up with these UX designs, and then they give you the design, and you just have to write the requirements or the ACs around the user stories that match this design. And you feel like you should be involved in the beginning of the process where they're talking to the customers, and not just at the end when they already have the design done. Is that correct?
Yeah, correct.
All right, so it depends. In some organizations, the UX designer, and again, there's an overlap between UX design and BA. There's an overlap between BA and a lot of different roles. PO and BA overlap, Scrum Master and BA sometimes overlap, you know, a product manager and BA overlap, and BA and UX designers definitely overlap. So it's a matter of determining where they start and stop. So if the UX designers are out there having the conversations and then they're designing it, their objective at the end of their conversations is to figure out the best user experience. That's what they're doing. But you as a BA, you're determining the best requirement, or how are you improving the process, which are not always the same thing. What you have to realize is if their aim is just to make the design much more user friendly, but it could mean that the design is great, but the technical team can't fulfill that design, then what's happening is now you have a bunch of designs that the technical team is going to have to struggle to get done, and then you are going to come in as a BA to try to redo some of those designs. So I think it would be great if you could be at the beginning where they're talking about it, but you are also not a technical resource. So you can't say at the time when you're in this discussion with them that this can be done or not done, right? So I don't know if you have to change that flow right now. I think it could be okay for them to talk to the clients if that's what they're already doing, because sometimes it's difficult to change from upward, right? It's hard to influence upward. So if they're already doing the design and they're showing you what the designs are, you though have to take those designs not as final. You're not going to just go off and go write ACs based on these designs. That's not an agile process. You need to have the refinement sessions with the technical team and the designer, and you should be running that to say these are the designs that we have, This is what it's asking us to do. Are we able to do that? Do we have any concerns from a technical perspective? So that you can all be in the same meeting discussing these designs or whatever concerns the technical team has. They can air those concerns and force the designer to either make changes or improve it, right? But you also have to know, what are we solving for? What is it that the customer actually wants to do? What are they trying to do? And so that you can also guide that conversation. So it shouldn't be a competition between you and the UX designer. It's really, you guys can work together in a more seamless way. Don't feel like you've been left out. You're not being left out. You just need to take what they've done. It's like they've started the process, but you need to finish it. So you're going to take what they've done, and then you're going to have the refinement, you have the discussion before you write a single AC. Right? Okay. So so you have to reposition yourself as being the authority on what actually gets written in the AC. And so you take their design as the input, have the refinement sessions, you lead all of that stuff, and you write in the AC what needs to happen. And if you need them to go and change the design to match what you actually can do, you take that position. Hey guys, you got to change this. So you have to position yourself in a position of authority about requirements. Don't just take what they give you and go write AC. That is not what you want to be. All right. So it's just it's just reshifting where you stand with all of that. Okay, we're over time, and I got to go on my vacation, y'all. I'm not in the mountains for no reason. I am in the Smoky Mountains to enjoy all of what the Smoky Mountain has to offer. Hopefully, I don't see any bears around. There's black bears up here, so we got to be careful of that. But yes, this is the end of our Global BA Stand-Up for today, April 1st. Ain't no April Fools around here, right? Thank you guys so much for joining.
Enjoy spring break.
I will. I'm here for the entire spring break. I'm going to love it. It's going to be great.
Thank you.
All right. Thanks, everybody. Thank you all. Take care. Bye-bye. Oh, before y'all leave, I do have my Insightful, which is my my live training session that we do. It's a 3-hour long training for April. I think we'll be covering the topic of how to elicit requirements. So typically in these Insightful sessions, we go through trainings and we do practical examples, and you can ask questions similar to how we're doing the BA Stand-Up now, but it's a live training. So you're learning how to do this technique. So we're going to be talking about how to elicit requirements for different types of projects, like if it's an off-the-shelf project, if it's an implementation project, if it's building a software project, if it's like what Nita was just talking about, which is, you have designs and you have to write requirements. So how do you elicit those? What do you say? Who do you ask? Who do you talk to? What questions? How do you go about it, in a practical way? We'll talk about that in our next Insightful. It's going to be a $95 cost to join. I'm going to put it on the website so you can sign up. And we spend 3 hours together working through these techniques. At the end of it, there's a recording. You get the recording, you get any documentation that we share and stuff like that, so that you can be, in these 3-hour blocks, you become pretty solid in how to do this. So now you can take that away and go to your job and do it, right? So you should be able to do it after that. So look out for that email and look out for that on my website so we can teach you how to elicit requirements. All right?
Do you have VIP access?
I haven't set it up yet, but probably you will be. Ego, you're in all of my consults, so you're special. You're in all of my lives.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for joining. Thank you, everybody. I hope you enjoyed this Global BA Stand-Up, and I look forward to seeing all of you in the next one in May. All right. Thank you, guys.
Have a good one.
Thank you. Bye, everybody. Thank you. Now let me see how I can end the live. I have no idea. Here we go. Bye, guys.